Everyone, this is my Plutonic Planes channel, and we're doing continuation of my monthly Dreamwave forecast. And let me share before I say anything more. Please, if you enjoy this, subscribe and such. Let me go ahead and share. Okay, so this is my write-up for December. And so this will begin in a couple of days. I think today's like the 28th. So a couple of days before we begin December. And this was ending on last month's gate 9, but I'll get to that in a minute. So for anyone who's new, this is kind of a mix and a mesh of an astrology and human design forecast for the month. And I've been doing these for a couple of months now, since October, or this might be the second month actually. And what I'm doing is I'm creating a monthly forecast with the context of seeing astrology and human design as how this kind of experience, this kind of layer, this holography that we live in. Now, these ideas are based on modern kind of ideas in physics and science in terms of us living in holographic realities like projections or layers of different levels of how we project our experiences into reality relative to what we need to learn or what we need to know. And this is a current for understanding that maybe how we experience life is not so much about what life is. In other words, it's not about whether the earth is round or flat, or there's countries, or that stuff's a little more important, but more of a matter of how our perceptual frames construct and physicalize everything around us relative to what we're kind of needing to experience, and how we're nuancing elevated understandings of things. And when we don't understand reality or our experience, we have to create a field where we can interact and experience what it is what we're here to know, learn, and understand. Because if we don't know it yet, then we need to throw ourselves into the physical kind of experience of interaction with other humans and this whole interactive field in order to get knowledge, to get knowingness. If you're interested in these kind of ideas, like there's some films that really beautifully kind of show this ideas of reality being a construct, almost like a game of sorts. And some of those films are like The Game with Kirk Douglas that came out in the late 90s, The 13th Floor, another late 90s film, Dark City, more of like a sci-fi film, but similar ideas. Obviously the Matrix film that came out. For those that are more into books, Val Valerian's Matrix books is kind of what woke me up in the early 2000s. Those are available on truefacts.org, and you can also find those online. And those are some of the influences and ideas. There's the physics book, not remembering now, but I'll remember it for next time, that gets into holographic realities and how our body, our kind of physicality can be experienced as a hologram, and every little part can reflect another part. And there's like all these stories about people's lives and how that can come about. It's an amazing book, just reading it. And I'll put it below in the notes so you guys can see. And so anyways, getting further into it, I don't want to take too long. I want to do just a quick kind of breakdown of the month for everyone. So this is what I just went over, how the planets are like, they're manipulating the holosphere that we interact with, but we're actually, they impel us, but they don't compel us. So our experiences, rather to use their energies to formulate our life and what we need to learn and how we need to learn it, and learn those lessons and go forward. And then each of those pivotal periods, especially the Saturn, every 7 years there's a major Saturn aspect, and we kind of reinitiate things that haven't worked and end things that didn't work. That's one good example. Each planet, in a sense, is like a temporal reality, and it's exists within our timeline of our life in cycles, and that's why we look to astrology and human design to kind of give us a guide about that. So this stuff I went over last week. I went over this as well. I'll just leave it up for a moment in case you want to take a picture or go over it on your own time. So what I go over first is the gates. I'm going to go over the 5 gates of the month that are going to be in Sagittarius and ending going into Capricorn in around December 21st, 22nd, and maybe some suggestions for the month, how to deal with the energy, how the energy is continuing, and where the changes are going to occur. I start out by going through the gates, and then I'll go through some aspects, some astrological aspects and shifts. So starting out, and this is like going on right about now, the last 2 days of November, is gate 9. Now, gate 9 is a gate underneath the sacral. It's connected to the sacral, so it's connected to that life force energy. And this is the ability to focus on specific details. It's not necessarily the ability to stay still, which makes it a kind of ADHD gate, but you can still mentally focus yourself. So maybe making decisions while in meditation, while just sitting. Sometimes just like pondering all possibilities. So you're in a calm space to see all different possibilities. So this is a really, this will happen till December 6th. So the sun will be, its neutrinos will be hitting us through this gate and give us that extra focus we need to complete and finish up details, especially before Mercury Retrograde begins in January. And then around December 6th, it's going to go into gate 5. Gate 5 is the ability to have fixed patterns. So if there's a new habit or a new rhythm that you're seeking, maybe you want to get to sleep early, which is like my perpetual attempt to habitualize, which is most perpetually impossible. This one starts December 6th and goes to the 10th. So those days could be used to create a new habit. And gate 5 is a gate of certain patterns and rhythms. So it can also create a little kind of chaos if you're not following rhythms. An example that especially people with this gate is every day there's something they almost need to do to ground themselves, to really ground themselves into a steady rhythm. The next gate, which will occur December 11th to the 16th, is gate 26. Gate 26 is part of the money channel. So these are people who have these gates and this energy flowing through. Good time to sell things, to market things, commercialize things. Very much a business channel. To sell your talents and share your value for it, or trade your value for it. Great time for that. And again, especially if there's any like things you need to buy, it's a time where you can make better decisions about what's correct for you, what you really need. And also in terms of, for those who celebrate the end of the year, to get the correct presents or gifts for others. You know, gifting, as many speak of, it shouldn't be necessarily limited to one day of the year, obviously, you know. And ultimately, I was talking with a buddy of mine today, and ultimately it's kind of a selfish thing to give because you're giving. But nothing wrong with, of course, being selfish. Selfishness is needed, you know. But just a very, like, it does something to the energy field when you give out. And I'm not getting into all manifestation talk. I'm just getting to energetic exchange, just the exchange of the energy in the auric field. It's very powerful. Around December 17th to the 21st, so this is the last Sagittarius gate of the month, we're going into gate 11, peace and ideas using imagination. This is the gate of ideas. This is the gate of people who love to travel, and not just travel physically, but travel through the imagination. A lot of painters born around this time, a lot of travelers. This is a time if you want to make short trips or start a trip during this time is great. as well. This is a very very mental gate, so note, journal your ideas around this time, because a lot of good ideas may not be implemented at this time because you need the other side of it. Human design is very much a dualistic system. Each gate means what it means, and it also means its opposite. And we're always here to utilize that energy either way, in a higher expression or a lower. Or it's kind of like the idea that I like to express a lot of. Ultimately, the question for humanity is to build or destroy. It's a joy only we each individually can decide, and perhaps collectively. And so, right when Capricorn begins around December 22nd, the sun will be going into gate 10. This gate comes out of the G center. So, this is a gate that looks for the ability to love itself, for self-love and empowerment. This is a behavior gate. So, this is people who have this gate act with particular types of behavior. Like I have gate 10, line 3, which always puts someone's nose at a joint. It's a very kind of disjunctive, energetic tension for others, because my behavior will just shift and it'll be unexpected to others. That'll be the 22nd to the 27th. Then the sun near the end of the month will go into gate 58, which is like kind of like the gate of not wanting to miss the party, not want to miss anything. And so this is a gate of joy, vitality, contentment, seeking union with others. So this is right before New Year's, kind of a nice time. I wanted to mention on the 22nd to the 27th, around the 21st, 22nd, one ritual I kind of do every year is I get a bayberry candle and I carve with an unused nail. I carve in my name, the date, and 3 wishes I would like to have for the following year. I've done this for years, and I don't always keep full track of whether I get what it is I asked for, but every time that I've kept track of it, I've gotten what I've wanted. But of course, there's certain particular details to it, and yeah, email me if you're interested in those details. Maybe I'll put a little more in the notes, because it only means your dream will come true if certain things happen around how the candle burns. I'm not going to reveal this here, but yeah, if you're interested, let me know, and I'll probably do a write-up on it. And gate, and also you could use your own intuition, of course, and set it up for yourself in whatever way. Gate 38 is more towards the beginning of January. That's a gate of opposition. This will occur around Mercury Retrograde, so I think a lot of tension will be building up towards the end of the month. There's also Mars is going retrograde. No, Mars has been retrograde. So that's I don't know if you guys have been experiencing that, saying the wrong things, speaking rashly. I've tried to be very preparatory with my words and communication, and it still got me in trouble. But I'm Mars and Gemini, so it's retrograding almost exactly on my Mars. So it's just very difficult to really handle that energy, even though I've done my best to be as clear and create the bridges as best as possible. So here I note Mars remains retrograde. Careful with your words. Energy remains low. Wait a day before email or text are sent. I like to do this where you write an email up and you just keep it in your draft for a day. With text, it's a little harder because we want to just send things. Be clear and kind with your words. It's not the time for the war of words. Unless maybe at the end of the month or towards January, because Jupiter's going to go back into Aries, and so there'll be more definitely vitality and energy for healthy argument, or kind of that type of intense energy. And Mars, of course, rules Aries. Ultimately, most of the planets will be moving into Capricorn: Sun, Venus, Mercury, Pluto, and the new moon. We'll have a new moon around I think it's December. Let me see, I should have it here in the notes. I think it's around the second or third week of December. We just had a new moon um, recently, and so there'll be a full moon first. And so yeah, I'll go over that. It comes in, yeah. So Jupiter goes direct in Aries December 20th. Saturn remains in Aquarius, so Aquarians are dealing with some limitations. Ultimately, this whole month is a month ruled by Saturn. Well, a little later on, actually, starting around the 20th, because Capricorn does bring delays. It wants things to kind of be perfected. So there are delays, there are holdups. So most of the tension will be building towards the end of the month. Uranus continues in Taurus, mucking up our earthen plane. Neptune continues in Pisces towards the end of Pisces, opposing all Virgos and squaring late Sag and late Gemini. And so be careful with your, don't become too delusional. It's very risky for Virgos, late Sages, and late Geminis to become delusional about things, with Neptune kind of clouding up our solar focus. And that's what ultimately the sun is. It's like our solar focus on what it is we're accomplishing in this lifetime. One thing to consider is when you have your chart read, or even though like it's very much said that, oh, it's not that simple that we're a sun sign. You know, obviously there's many other planets that comprise aspects of who we are. But regardless, ultimately, for going forward in who we really are in this lifetime, it's so important that we become our sun sign. We mostly act like our moon sign in the first 20, 30 years of life. And then we start kind of fully grounding into the energy of our ascendant. And then later on, we kind of come home and really embody our solar energy. And this is why, like, a lot of people say or suspect, like if one's a particular sign of Virgo, people wonder, oh, well, why aren't you really organized or this or that? And our sun sign is what we're ultimately to come into a sense of comfortability with, and it takes kind of a lifetime to get through this, but it's relative to the chart. Some people have 7 planets in one particular sign. So Pluto's going to be moving forward into Capricorn towards Aquarius. This is gate 60, and then eventually going into an Aquarius gate. I'm going to do a separate video on this in the next couple of days. I've been wanting to, because Pluto's so important, especially it's been in Capricorn the last 10, 15 years, all these Capricorn gates, but it's going to go into Aquarius next year, and it'll be off and on, back and forth between Pluto and Aquarius until 2024, which is a big marker because it'll be the completion of the Pluto interregnum. But of course, I talk too much. The challenging transformation days of this month are the 5th, the 7th, the 14th, and the 21st. 21st being solstice. The dream manifest days, as I call them, these are like really harmonic days. The 12th, the 17th, the 24th, the 28th. Pluto moon days, these are days where the moon is going to make an aspect to Pluto. So this is usually when the moon is going through Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn. And so the 4th, Aries moon is going to square Pluto. On the 11th, the Cancer moon will oppose Pluto. On the 18th, the Libra moon will square Pluto and Capricorn. On solstice, the 21st, the moon will be in Scorpio. So I just noted that for our ritual. That's going to be really nice time for it to be by yourself, to really maybe reflect on the year. And on the 31st, moon will be squaring Pluto, and it'll be in Aries. So another nuanced testimony for tension at the end of the month. That's all I have noted here. I didn't note the full moons and the new moons, but you can tell by the sign the moon's in. Since the moon will be in Sag for the month, the new moon will be when the moon is in Sag, and the full moon will be when it's opposed. So that'll be moon in Gemini. So if we look at that here, the full moon will be around, I'd say the 6th, the 7th. That'll be the full moon. And then the new moon will be around right around the 18th, 19th of the month. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed. Take care.